Thank you for checking out Film Fights. Just wanted to give a special shout out to Gabrielle Grace for submitting a great jingle for us to use as a theme song that you'll hear in just a minute. If you'd like to submit something for the show, email us at filmfightspodcast@gmail.com. Enjoy the episode. Guardians of the Galaxy or Rush Hour?
Guardians.
Yeah, Guardians.
Airplane or Collateral?
I haven't seen Airplane.
Black Swan or Catch Me If You Can?
Oh, I haven't seen
I haven't
either.
seen Catch Me.
Ace Ventura Pet Detective or Snatch?
Snatch.
Ace Ventura Pet Detective.
Ace Ventura Pet Detective versus Snatch on this episode of Film Fights.
From action to romance, it stays in the moment, even if we don't agree.
Hello everyone, welcome to Film Fights, the podcast that uses a random movie generator to pit two films against each other on a quest to be the next movie that I, and maybe you listening out there, sit down to watch. My name is Matt Dodd. Today, this is a rare occasion for us. It's the first time we've ever had a couple, and a married couple at that. I'm joined by Joe and Yuki Warner.
Hello.
Thanks
Hello.
for being here, guys. I'm going to try very hard to not make this too hostile, and if anything ever happens with your relationship, you cannot blame this podcast.
Sorry, it can be like any other day.
That's in the disclaimer, okay? We just got to get that out of the way. It's the fine print.
Okay.
All right, Joe, you're representing Snatch. Yuki, you're
Yep.
representing Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Yep.
Before we get into that fight, though, our last winner chose Joe versus the Volcano as the film for us to talk about first. Have you guys seen Joe versus the Volcano?
God, so long ago.
I don't know if I've seen the whole thing.
Tom Hanks, right?
That's correct. I
If
believe.
I
I've
did,
actually not
a
seen it
long
either.
time ago.
We
Yeah.
talked about it for a little bit. I
Long
will
time
watch it
ago.
eventually. Overall, like, brief thoughts on it. Like, did you enjoy that movie? Do you suggest I watch it?
Honestly, can't say. The only thing I could say is Tom Hanks is in it, and he was good in the 80s.
Just remember like an aerial scene of a volcano, I think.
That sounds... I mean,
Was there an
I would
actual
assume at
volcano?
some point there's an aerial scene of a volcano. I'd
think-
hope. If not,
I thought
it's
the
something
last
erased.
scene or something.
I thought it was figurative. I don't remember
Yeah,
that.
I haven't seen
No,
it.
it
Maybe.
was for real, wasn't it?
A real volcano?
I
Like
have
a
no
mythical
idea.
thing.
I
Somebody had to
mean,
go in there to
Tom
save the
Hanks is
world.
a big enough volcano as it is.
Oh.
He's a volcano of an actor. All right, well, we'll move past that. We'll get to tonight's battle. Joe, you've got Snatch. How long has it been since you've seen Snatch?
I actually just watched this maybe 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh, that's pretty weird. For the listeners at home that may not know what Snatch is, you can kind of give them a brief synopsis.
Snatch came out in late 90s, maybe early 2000s. I feel like it inspired a lot of movies that came after because it had a very unique style to it. Essentially, it's a crime movie mixed in with comedy. There's a lot of characters, a lot of things happening at once, and it all kind of just comes to a head at the end, and chaos ensues and whatnot. Yeah, something I enjoyed quite a bit when I was in my high school, post-high school life.
Very good. All right, thank you. So we're going to go across the table to your better half. Yuki, I would have asked you first, as a gentleman, but I thought since Joe's done this before, he might be a little more familiar with it. Gives
Yeah.
you a chance to get warmed up a little bit.
Yep.
You're representing Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Mhm.
When's the last time you saw it?
Very recently, like within the last few days.
Yeah, I've seen it. Saw it somewhat recently myself, not quite that recently. What is your film about? I'm guessing most people probably are somewhat familiar, but
Pretty much in the title.
Yeah.
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Yeah.
He's a Miami detective, and he's enlisted to kind of help out with, mainly the Miami Dolphins. Their mascot, Snowflake, is now missing, and so he gets involved, and it's, a funny comedy, mystery type of movie.
starring Jim Carrey in his heyday.
Yes.
Whatever happened to that guy?
He's
Don't think-
alive.
Who?
Wait, what?
He's alive. James Carrey? Yeah, he's
Well,
alive.
hey, we don't know at the time of this.
Good old Jimmy
At the time of
Carrey.
this recording, Jim Carrey was still alive.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to convince me, though, on what to watch this weekend. So you can attack the other person's film, but ultimately your goal is just to get across the reasons why you really like your film over the other. So these are two very different movies. Somewhat similar time frame, I think. How early 90s was Ace Ventura? Was it mid-90s, maybe?
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's
been-
93, 94.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 94. Good
Nice.
catch. Snatch was in 2000, actually, so not
Really?
too
Okay.
far apart. But so, Yuki, for you, were you a big fan of Jim Carrey in that whole era? I mean, he had a lot of big
Absolutely.
kind of over-the-top comedies. In
Yeah,
that era.
because I think it was around the same time that The Mask came out, and then also I
Dumb
think
and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber, and then this was like part of that the 3 breakout movies. I think it was the same year, right? Pretty
Dumb
sure.
and Dumber was the same year. It's 94. Yeah.
And so
yeah, Mass
so
too.
yeah, it's just like you're
yeah.
seeing him in his prime or his breakout roles. So it's really exciting. And who didn't walk around the house like making their butt cheeks talk?
That's right. I mean, who didn't? I don't really remember doing that, but I'm sure I probably did at some point, or at least thought about it.
Yeah.
How about you, Joe? Did you ever go around making your butt cheeks talk?
I still do that.
I believe that, actually.
Dare I go into details?
Not too much. This is a family show.
No, it's not.
No, I mean, it's really not. This could be anything. We don't know.
Depends what kind of family.
It's a good point. I guess so. Do you remember, did either one of you see your movie in theaters? Or do you remember the first time you watched your movie?
I think I saw it in theaters. I'm not 100% though.
No, I don't think I saw you there in theaters.
Okay. Do you remember the first time you watched it?
Yeah, probably. I mean, 90s.
Yeah. Group of friends kind of thing?
Yeah,
It's just
family.
Like everybody's just
at home.
laughing. Sure.
Hmm?
Sure. What would you say Snatch does differently within other movies in its genre, like of that kind of type?
I mean, it's super stylized. It doesn't take itself too seriously. So yeah, especially at the time, there's really nothing like it. Just the way it interwove so many characters and plot lines, and then had them all crisscrossed. I mean, I guess that plot device is very common, but
It
as
did
far
a
as
good job with that, for
crime
sure.
movies go, I think it is very solid. Plus, adding comedy to it, crime, drama. I mean, I remember the first time seeing it, I had to watch it 2 or 3 more times just to get what was going on. And back when it first came out, I probably watched it several times. And yeah, I mean, as far as style goes, very unique editing, cinematography, and all that kind of stuff, graphics.
Yeah, it's very quick. It's we can say it's
Quick
Guy
and
Ritchie.
stylish.
It was Guy Ritchie's second film after Lock, Stock, Two Smoking
Yeah.
Barrels. Kind of has a very similar feel, but just a little bit bigger.
Way more polished than Lock, Stock was.
Right, yeah. And for a listener, if you're not familiar with either one of those, Guy Ritchie also went on to do Sherlock Holmes, the Robert Downey Jr. movie. Both of those actually so far. It's had a couple misfires as well. Rock and Rolla, Revolver.
Yeah, I
and
feel like
The
his
Man
other
from
stuff
Uncle.
was kind of trying to make another Snatch. It just
Yeah.
didn't come together the way Snatch did.
He kind of has a similar tone and feel in his
Yeah,
movies
just
with all of
complex crime dramas.
those that
trying
are
to mix
witty,
comedy
quick
with-
kind of humor kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah. So yeah, it's still comedic. I mean, obviously a different type of comedy than.
It also just had a
Pet
great
Detective.
cast too.
did. That's true.
I mean, Benicio del Toro, Brad Pitt.
Arguably, I think one of Brad Pitt's best roles too.
Yeah, just
which is
the,
a little
the
under.
mumbling gypsy.
Yeah.
You can't say that
Pikey.
word anymore. No. you really
Jason
can't say that
Statham
word.
before he
Jason
was an
Statham.
action star.
That's
He
right.
wasn't even. It was not even an action role for him either.
No.
It was more. He played more of the straight guy in the movie.
Oh, and the guy from Boardwalk Empire.
Happens, yeah. The guy who played Al Capone in Boardwalk Empire. I don't remember his actual name.
Ace Ventura: Pet Detective also has a great cast. Courtney Cox, a dolphin,
Yep.
Dan Marino.
Mm-hmm.
What's one of your favorite scenes from, other than him talking with his butt cheeks? I guess we've already covered that. What's one of the scenes that like really sticks out for you for Ace Ventura?
I think for me, like he can't not be in the movie. Like he pretty much holds the whole movie together. You can't really substitute him with another actor in this particular movie because there's really not much else going on. But the other memorable scene was, for me, my absolute favorite scene is him at the asylum when he, on purpose, gets himself committed.
Yeah.
And he's pretending like a professional athlete gone mad because of a one particular traumatizing game
Right.
to kind of try to get to their closed off rooms. But he's just a really great physical actor, really good physical comedy. And when you're watching it as a kid, like that is like the funniest thing, and you're gonna replay it over and over again.
Yeah. Do you think it holds up well now? Because I think that type of comedy, we still have some of it, but I think it definitely feels like it's a movie of that time.
Oh,
like
yeah.
in the 90s, like we
Oh
had
my
a lot
God.
of that kind
Yeah,
of
it's
style
such a
humor.
90s movie.
Yeah.
I mean, from like the soundtrack to what they're wearing. I mean, he's always in a Hawaiian shirt with like a wife beater underneath, and then like big pants with like a belt really high up, hair slicked back or whatever. But yeah, it's a very 90s movie, but I found myself laughing out loud at those scenes. But I don't know, maybe it's like a nostalgia thing.
Maybe partially
Yeah.
nostalgia, but I think a lot of it is like if you're in the mood for that kind of like over the top, like physical comedy, like And yeah, I mean, it's great for that. So, in general, Joe, would you pick watching Snatch over like a kind of, not to put Ace Ventura down, but a little bit more of like a dumb humor, like physical humor?
A lot of my favorite comedies I can watch over and over again and not get tired of it. I feel like Ace Ventura, I can't do that with. But with going to Snatch, you can watch it and get something new every time. I mean, even watching it the last couple of weeks, I noticed new things that I didn't watch, that I didn't realize were going on when I watched it, 10 plus years ago.
As far as this movie goes, with that kind of type of comedy, why this one even like over the sequel, like When Nature Calls, or any of those other, like The Mask or Dumb and Dumber? Like, does this one stand out over those to you, or is it just kind of like, this was good in that era?
I think to fully appreciate Jim Carrey, you have to have Ace Ventura in there. Yeah. Like, you have to watch that movie because it just has him playing such a such a big character. Like, he takes over, he's 90% of the movie, 99% of the movie.
It's definitely,
If you want to feel the weight that he can carry in a movie, that's definitely that.
I'd say, if you haven't seen this movie, but you're familiar with something like The Mask or Dumb and Dumber to a degree, like he co-shares the movie a little bit there. This is definitely a like big time Jim Carrey feature. Like, it's a focus thing on him. It's a character performance for him too. He was very strong. All right. Well, you guys were very tame with each other. I don't think you guys wanted to fight. I think you were a little nervous that like other things would come out and this would get really uncomfortable.
I do want to say though, like, you can't watch Snatch casually. Like, you have to mentally prepare yourself for it. So in that way, if you're trying to choose a comedy, then Ace Ventura is probably better.
That's a fair point. That wasn't quite the like gloves off moment I was hoping for. I thought she was going to jump across the table and get you, but all right, but that is fair. I mean, Snatch is a heavier movie for sure, and while there are comedic elements, it's a lot darker and deeper, I guess.
Yeah. As much of a comedy as it is, dark comedy, I guess you could say. I mean, there are moments where it does get pretty serious and bleak and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a straight comedy. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, it mixes a lot of different elements together.
All right, guys, great discussion. Before I make my final decision, let's see how much you really know about your films today. Here's a couple of trivia questions for you. Critically, Snatch is fairly well regarded. It sits at 73% in Rotten Tomatoes, has an 8.3 on IMDb. Out of 4 stars, how many did legendary critic Roger Ebert give Snatch?
2.
2.5.
It was 2 stars. He said, the movie is not boring, but it doesn't build and it doesn't arrive anywhere.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself.
I mean, he's Roger Ebert. He's a legend. What famous movie villain did Ace Ventura compare Ray Finkel to?
Hannibal Lecter.
Oh.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Good job. So with Ace Ventura, the butt-talking scene that we talked several times about was taken from a previous comedy show. Do you know what show that was?
Is it
In Living Color?
It was in Living Color.
Yeah.
It says here, Carrey was frustrated with Keenan Ivory Wayne's constant rejection of his sketch pitches, so he stood up and read a sketch from his butt.
Actually, it's funny because I think he helped write Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Keenan Ivory Wayne's?
No, Jim Carrey.
Oh, yeah,
so, like,
I think he did.
He, like, worked in whatever he wanted.
Or at the least, I'm sure, like, so much of it was probably, like, improvised and just following him do whatever. Like, I imagine he changed a lot of those scenes. I don't know for sure.
I can see that, too.
I would be surprised if that's not the case. For Snatch, it was on Empire Magazine's 2008 poll of the 500 greatest movies of all time. Where do you think it was ranked?
386.
For real?
That's a nice number. Oh, it was not right. It's a nice number.
Higher or lower?
Are these Prices Right rules?
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't tell you.
Okay, Price is Right rules.
So from 1 to 500.
I think a lot of people probably went higher, like, or lower, right? 200. I'm gonna say 200.
It was 466.
Just kidding.
Which I think feels probably about right. It's a good movie. All right, what other actors were considered for the lead role of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective?
David Carradine.
What?
Chuck Norris.
I would love to see that, but I don't think that's true.
Mike Myers.
That's a good guess.
Dana Carvey.
Dana Carvey's a good guess, too. Yeah, I heard you saying that. I think they're both good guesses. They're not on this list.
Saturday
There's only
Night
3
Live.
names on
Oh,
this
David
list.
Spade.
None of them are from Saturday Night Live.
Oh,
which I find
interesting.
interesting.
Bruce Willis?
No, that would be wow.
That would be
Just think of
weird.
that for a second. Like what a different career path Bruce Willis would have had
Yeah.
had he went Ace Ventura after like Die Hard and
Clint
that kind
Eastwood.
of success. Can that happen now? Can we remake
Clint
Ace
Eastwood
Ventura with
with-
Clint Eastwood?
Yeah.
I'd be down with that.
Samuel
All right.
L.
The
Jackson.
3 people that are listed here are Judd Nelson, Rick
Oh.
Moranis, and Alan Rickman.
Alan
Wow.
Rickman.
Which-
Holy.
I don't see how any of those would have
He's
really
dead.
pulled that off. That's
Yeah.
very bizarre. It feels like such a Jim Carrey movie to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, good job for him, I guess, for making it that iconic. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to give you both the floor individually for your final thoughts. So this is a chance you can get a last point in or really hammer something home from earlier. Joe, we'll let you go first.
All right. I'm choosing Snatch because, I don't know, I guess it held up better for me than Ace Ventura did. Like I said, 10 years later, I'm still finding new things and different ways they wove the plot together that I thought were cool. And I could appreciate stylistically how movies basically copied a lot of what they did after that. So, yeah, and it just has, it blends a lot together. Crime, drama, comedy. So it's a very fun, enjoyable movie.
All right, fair enough. Yuki, what are your final thoughts on Ace Ventura: Pet Detective?
I think you should watch Ace Ventura: Pet Detective because it is like a cutout from the 90s. And so if you want a taste of that, kind of relive your younger years. You're a little bit younger than us. So maybe your baby years.
Hey, don't tell the audience too much. I'm a real boy.
A real boy. Yeah, so you kind of get an awesome like slice of 90s culture. Dan Marino, no one cares about him anymore. He was popular back then.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, he does like what is it, weight loss stuff now.
Yeah, I think he does. I
Yeah,
think
he
you're right.
does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, fair
But
enough.
he used to be popular.
Yeah, he used to be like,
with
you know,
football and
I'm
all
sure
that.
he's still regarded pretty well.
I'm
Doesn't
sure.
he
His film career never
Isn't
took
he a
off,
sports
though,
announcer
which
now?
is unfortunate. What's that?
Isn't he a sports announcer too?
I think he is a sports announcer now. I don't know. I don't watch sports.
What? Watch what?
I don't watch sports. Any of them.
Sports.
What are those?
Wait, what?
I'm so confused by what we're doing right now. Well, Yuki, was that the end of your point? I didn't mean to cut you off there. And
You're forgiven.
Thank you.
Well,
very kind of you.
and then also it's just it's a funny movie. I think it still holds up today. I found myself laughing out loud, and it's it's not as intricate as Snatch, but that's also the reason why I would choose to watch it, because it's lighthearted. You can just kind of pick it up, throw it in. Probably do some dishes, maybe read a book while you're watching the movie.
It's a real...
Do anything else but watch the movie.
No, but it's an easy watch. You don't really have to think much about it because
Sure.
it's just funny stuff is happening. It's
I mean,
very very clear. You don't have to use any brain energy.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said with that, though, because there's a lot of times where I am multitasking, where I'm going to do something else. I need to, like, catch up on emails or catch up on something, but I'd like to have something on in the background. And to me, that kind of movie is perfect for that, because you kind of tune in, you tune out, you remember some great scenes, but I don't think it's a movie that, like, I really regard too highly, because when I rewatched it somewhat recently, I was kind of like, oh, this
With
is
me.
funny, but...
Yeah.
But I get it. I do think it's a great background movie. I think it still does
Fair
hold
enough.
up with nostalgia and all. I'm going to go with Snatch because we know this is just personal bias anyway. And really, because I recently watched Ace Ventura, I don't really want to watch it again. So I'll watch Snatch again. That's okay. But
When was the last time you watched Snatch, Matt?
Probably
call him
6
Max?
or so years.
Max?
Match?
You can call me
Match?
whatever you want. Well, I should take that
Match?
back. Please
Match-
don't call me whatever
Match
you want.
Dobson.
Match.
Good old Match Dobson.
That's
But yeah, I'm going to
Match
take
Dash.
Snatch. We're going to wrap this up, though. Mr. Joe Warner, where can people find you online if they want to talk to you about how much they love Snatch?
My Twitter is @farewellfoolish.
Is that true?
Yes.
I
Really?
don't follow you on Twitter. I don't know why.
Nobody follows me on Twitter.
I'll follow you on Twitter, Joe.
I didn't
Thanks,
know you
Matt.
had a Twitter.
Thanks, Match.
Match.
You're welcome, buddy.
Thanks, Match.
All right, Yuki, can people find you anywhere online? Where would they?
I
Where
don't
would
think
they
so.
do that?
I think I'm private everywhere.
Fair enough.
Don't
Just
want to be found.
yell at Joe, and he'll just read it off like in a loud, obnoxious voice, I'm sure.
Yeah, if you have any emergencies concerning me, just reach out to Joe.
Fantastic.
And he'll let me know.
Fantastic. You can find me on Twitter at Matthew Dodd, and you can find the Film Fights Facebook page at Film Fights Podcast. Make sure to like or rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to this, whether that's iTunes or Stitcher or whatever your podcasting preference is. For the review, you don't really have to review the show, because why would you really want to talk about us and what we're talking about? You should just tell us which movie you like and why you like Snatch or why you like Ace Ventura. Because that'll confuse people, and it'll just look like a review for those movies, and it's in the wrong place. And that makes me laugh. So, Joe, you get to pick a movie that you get to highlight here. I'll give you the closing floor. What movie would you like to talk about and make the next group talk about?
Well, since you haven't watched it yet, I'm going to talk about Harold and Maude, since I told you to watch it a long time ago.
Yes, you haven't
That's
watched
fair,
it?
you have. You've been telling me for a
I
while.
let him borrow it. He has it. It's sitting next to his
beside my
TV. I saw it. I saw it
Are you
unwatched
afraid
next
to
to his
discover
TV.
something about yourself?
Is that what's going to happen?
I think so.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, if no one's familiar with Harold and Maude, the plot is completely insane. It's about...
No, it's not.
Okay, it's not insane, but it's a kid who's like 18 and
No, he's 20-something.
falls in love with a 70-something-year-old woman
Where was
in the
this earlier?
60s. Takes place it was made in the 60s, directed by Hal Ashby.
Okay.
And it's just a fantastic movie. Stylistically, you watch this and you know where Wes Anderson got his inspiration for Rushmore.
Okay. I'm a fan of Wes Anderson.
Yeah, it's a comedy, but it also gets profoundly depressing too.
Oh, yeah, I cried buckets.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to watch it.
But yeah, it's
been on my
fantastic.
list.
It's probably one of my favorite movies.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you letting me borrow it. It's a
Yes.
beautiful looking box art, and I can't wait to see it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Sorry we didn't... I mean, I guess it's good because I don't feel like I would have created tension between your marriage. Next
No.
time my goal is going to be to
We
have
do that
one
on
of
our
you
own.
yell loudly at each other. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the movies.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Film Fights. Special thanks again to Gabrielle Grace for the theme song this week. Be sure to subscribe for weekly episodes and check out any episodes you might have missed on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you so much, and we'll be back next week with another episode.